Welcome to the Winnie Podcast. This show is focused on empowering ranchers. Whether you're a seasoned rancher or just getting started, we'll guide you on how to use the infinite banking concept as an alternative way to finance your operations. It's a better way to think about money. Join us as we discuss planning for the future, attracting the next generation, and the art of keeping more money within the family. Here's your hosts, Winnie and Lacy.
Hey, welcome in. Thanks for choosing to be with us to lean in for another great conversation. Except today, both Lacy and I get to hang out and be with Mary Jo for our next conversation today. And for those of you who don't know who Mary Jo Irmen is, she is an author, speaker, and a farm and wealth strategist known for transforming how farmers and ranchers think about money and being a straight shooting German farm girl who tells it just like it is. She's also the creator of the Farming Without the Bank movement and also the author of the best-selling book by the same name. This was her original cover that I got from her. And she's also the author of this amazing book, Life Without the Bank, as well. And it's become a go-to resource for producers all across North America. So with over almost a decade and a half of experience teaching the infinite banking concepts to farm families, Mary Jo has helped thousands regain financial control, break free from the bank dependency, and create lasting legacy for future generations. Her work truly helps to bridge the gap between traditional finance and real-world agriculture, which empowers you, the producers, to make the bank's plan B, not plan A, and finally, finance their own operations differently than they have before. Welcome, Mary Jo.
Well, thanks. We're out of time, my friends. So that was awesome for you to come.
It takes that long to introduce you.
That's the best introduction ever. Winnie, I think that you missed your calling. I'm just saying. Maybe you need to write introductions for people.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Dun, dun, dun. Where do we go from there? Okay, you've learned everything you need to know.
The co-author of Farming Without the Bank Canada.
Yes.
It's like the biggest piece of all of this.
Yes, I know, but you're the guest today. It's all about you.
Yeah, but it's about our book for Canadians.
Tis true. Tis true. And
that's what we're doing here today.
Yeah. And so the reason why we're here today too is because we really want to highlight the fact of, what caused us, like what caused you, what caused us to really make sure there was a Canadian edition to the Farming Without the Bank book.
That's a good question. And the answer is pretty simple. I had a lot of Canadians calling and I can't do anything up there, right? But I want to make sure that they are helped correctly with the right people that know what they do, how to treat you guys. If I'm assuming you're farmers and ranchers listening to this. If you're not, same applies. So it ultimately doesn't matter. You want to go to an agent that understands and that's willing to work with you and make sure that you're not being taken advantage of, not sold the wrong stuff, not taught the wrong stuff. And so it was just a fit. Winnie and I have known each other for a very long time. I knew that I could. And I had been sending clients there, so I knew that I could trust her. And then the little cherry on top is that Lacy's in the egg industry. And so it works super, super well together because Winnie has known IBC forever, even though you haven't grown up in farming and ranching, Winnie. You're learning.
I am. I learn all the time. Look at me. I love it.
I listened to one of your podcasts and this morning, actually, and it came on and it said that when he said, we do some of you that do cattle. And we have some work to do, you guys, but it's okay. She knows what cows are. So that's a bonus, right? Some people don't even know that, but it really is you guys are just the perfect little team up there. And we needed somebody in Canada that knew agriculture. Because the need up there is not any different than the need down here. It doesn't matter if I'm talking to someone in South Africa. It doesn't matter if I'm talking to someone in Australia, Mexico. It ultimately does not matter. Agriculture has the same challenges no matter where you go. It's needed everywhere. We can only do it in Canada, in the US.
Right. And I think it's important most people know I was born and raised in the US. I live here now for the past 21 years. It's important that Canadians know, because there were times we were driving across the border for cheese. People the first thing they say is, that's awesome that it's in the States, but can we get that in Canada, or can we do that in Canada? Mm-hmm. And that it was I saw early on in my journey with Winnie and working with her and being her client, is that there was a need for Canadians just to automatically know that it can be done here.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And it's important to understand. It's important to understand the industry. And I don't know every industry of people that call me. But you have to, when you understand infinite banking, it can work for anything, right? That's why Nelson called it infinite. Because it can work anywhere. But the need in Canada is equally as great as it is here. But I think can we just stop for 1 second? Because the word important, Lacy, you do not say that like a Canadian. You still say that like a Southern US person. So let's just, Winnie, say important.
It's really important that she says important correctly.
and I say it.
Now you're going to put me on the spot.
Yeah. And I say it important. And Lacy, you say it.
Important.
No, that is not how you said it.
I don't know. See, I'm on the spot
you
now.
You said it important.
Important.
Yeah. And
important. You rolled your T like they do in the South.
Important.
It's like one of the words in the South I pick up. Anyway.
I have a sign in my kitchen that says Texan spoken here. And I've been bugged a lot about the way I speak, and I refuse to change. And I know there's a lot of things that I have picked up. Because what you hear is what you pick up, right? And I hear that most here, because I feel like my husband Reed has a very strong Canadian accent. And so, I talk to him every day, right? So I pick it up, but there are some words that I refuse to. And let me tell you, when it comes to spelling with my kids and sounding out words for them, it can be a real knock them down, drag them out, because I refuse to change the way I pronunciate things.
I think it's funny. I would have thought after 21 years, that word would have changed for you. So that's the only reason I picked it up. Because I was thinking 21 years and important. Whatever. We'll get you to say it again when you're not on the spot.
When I'm not on the spot.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, if post-production can really highlight, when that comes up, you can make sure you do a reel out of it.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, but we got to get her saying it right. You shouldn't say it the way she's supposed to. It's not as funny. Maybe they can just take a snippet from before and then they can put it in there. Anyway.
Yeah.
So yes, there was a need to get back on track. There was a need for it. And we really, truly, as both of you know, need to change the way farming is financed, because they think that their only option is the bank. And that is so not the case. There's many ways to do it. And right now, the banks are great to ranchers and they're not so great to farmers. And so the banks teeter-totter and decide what they want to do when they want to do it, when it's good for them, because it's their business. It's not that banks are bad. It's just that it's their business. And you're not going to make a bad business decision. I don't care who you are, unless you're a really crappy business owner. You're not going to say, hey, that's a great business idea. We're going to take that risk. No, they're not going to do that. And so we need to figure out when times are bad, how we're going to prepare for that. And by doing so, create our own banking system, right?
Indeed. Mm-hmm. And just circling back a little bit around, when Lacy was my client and her getting involved, right? I believe it's such a godsend that I I get to do this business and get to share in this with Lacy. I just, honestly, Lacy, I love you so much. And it just felt so right to become a partner with you in sharing the infinite banking concept. And, because it brings that added layer of when I'm sitting down and I'm getting to know our, like, the circumstances in which a person comes and says, okay, like what problem are we here to solve, right? And when they're going through and they're talking about their circumstances, I can intuitively pick up what is going on as a gist, right? And that's never failed me before. However, there are just definite moments where, Lacy's background and her understanding in growing up in this world and just being a rancher's wife, where we're able to even bring more value, because not only can we understand more and empathize more, but we can also come up with solutions that I probably wouldn't have otherwise been able to, right? So I think that's also really important. And then,
and I think people, I'm going to add that for you quickly, Winnie, because I think it's important that people understand it's a team, right? You guys, if you guys are operating as a team and you have the, 16 years of infinite banking experience and Lacy has a lifetime of agriculture experience, like, it's the team. Lacy's not going to be scared to say, hey, you know what? Let me go talk to Winnie on that. And Winnie's not going to be scared to say, I'm not really sure what that means. You're holding over calves.
I'm going to go get my translator. Give me a sec.
Yeah, exactly. Right? It's no different than me saying, hey, I don't really know doctors and lawyers. Like, I'm not a doctors and lawyers kind of girl. I don't know that industry. I know real estate, but I don't live, eat, sleep, and breathe real estate. So let me go find that real estate expert that maybe has a strategy that can help a little bit better. And so really, when people are working with you guys, they're getting the best of both worlds, because they're getting that massive knowledge on both sides that's going to help everything. And even if they just work with you, Winnie, you go to Lacy. And Lacy, if they work with you, you can go to Winnie. So it's not like anybody has too big of an ego to go ask the other person for help.
Oh,
so it's fantastic.
Absolutely not. Yeah, like it's amazing, actually, because when I went through all of my health issues, our clients were still taken care of. Cases were still closed. Clients were still able to come and start their journey. I just was on the sidelines for a bit, right? But it doesn't mean that, there's times where I'm like, okay, you know what? I do need to talk to Winnie about this. And it works great, because there's not very many times where both of us are down and out at the same time.
Yep. And it works even here, right? I'm working with Charissa and John, and I have a number of agents that I work with down here as well. And it's just nice to have them kind of focused on different industries, because I can tell you what's happening in agriculture because I've got my eye on ag. But I can't tell you what's happening in real estate a lot of the times, or I can't tell you what's happening in another industry. Like, I'm super blue collar focused. And so I can see what's happening in blue collar, but I don't know what's happening maybe in small business as much. Just because we cannot possibly look at everything. And so, and a lot of even what I've learned, and I grew up in agriculture, but a lot of what I've learned, it's amazing what you learn talking to clients and by asking the questions, and how people even look at things from North Dakota to Texas is very, very different. I was listening just to your podcast, though I don't know, I just opened on my app this morning. And so
we popped up first thing when you turned your phone on?
Well, I was listening to another one and it just automatically went to yours. And so you were talking about a sleeve of cattle. Was it a sleeve? Is that the word you used?
Yeah, it's like, remember you were talking about like how many cattle can fit onto one?
A truckload or
a liner load.
Yeah. A liner load. Okay, I have never ever heard that term.
Oh, really?
No, that obviously is not a U.S. term, Because I have never heard that. I'm assuming that's just a potbelly load.
A liner load would be like an 18-wheeler, like a semi truck, and
like
it's full.
Like a cattle rack.
A cattle, yes, a cattle liner, like so
I
it's
have
full.
never heard that term before. And I was like,
okay.
That is so interesting. They have different words in Canada. And when I was doing the sell by marketing class, there were a lot of Canadians that came down to North Dakota for that class. And the terminology that they were using, like we were all just kind of giggling at the guy that was asking a lot of questions. Yeah. Because we're like, that's just not how we talk down here. Right. So that knowing that terminology is so important, because if somebody came in and said, oh, I bought a liner load of cattle, I'm like, right. I mean, I would ask because I frankly don't care how stupid I look, but I need to understand.
Yeah. And so going back to like the language, I always say I'm bilingual because I speak Texan and American, but I also speak Canadian because there are certain things. And like Reed's uncle, they live right beside us. His wife is also from Texas, but we're from two different parts of Texas. So she's from Del Rio, really has a Mexican influence, and I'm from East Texas with that more Cajun influence because we were only 2 hours from Louisiana. And some of the deep South, but the terminology is different. So sometimes we have a text thread going back and forth like, oh, say this word. Have you heard this? What does this mean? And it's like this battle that we have going back and forth across the fence line with different languages. It's interesting.
Yeah, just very much like, another reason why the Canadian book was written is just so that, a lot of the things that Mary Jo says in her book, you can you can hear all the Canadian terminology just to pick up what she's laying down so much quicker. And then plus, some of the major differences, of course, is just taxes. How is it different? Like it's just different, right? IRS, CRA, the way that they do taxes and how the financial vehicle of the dividend paying whole life insurance contract is taxed. It's tax advantaged, but it's definitely not the same as it is down in the US.
Mm-hmm. But it's the same. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter. It's the same strategy. We're trying to create generational wealth. We're trying to save family operations. We're trying to get people away from the banking system. And that is super important because it matters probably more to Lacy and I because we're in it. And we have that agriculture piece that we want to keep going. We want to see our family operations continued on. And when you have that passion, it doesn't necessarily matter if what color you are, blue, purple, red, white, or green. You want to save that family operation because it's been there forever and ever and ever.
Well, and even if I'm not from an agricultural background, selfishly being a foodie, I want to make sure that the quality of my food is kept with more quality. Like if it ended up being that no one can afford to ranch or farm food anymore, then we're at the mercy of like the big corporations buying up all the land and then controlling the food sources and then controlling how they end up dealing with the land, which is, I believe, not going to be with as much care as someone who is running like a generational farm or a generational ranch, right? Mm-hmm. So from that perspective, I also am cheering farmers and ranchers on to thrive, really, just because I believe in, just private, just more things, more private is better.
Well, let's talk about that for a second, Winnie. If we want to do things with quality, a lot of times in agriculture, quality is sacrificed based on price and the fact that we need to do what we need to do to get a crop and to sell it, right? So we may not be able to farm that ground how we want to because the banks are saying, nope, I need you to pay this note by this day. So I can't do regenerative practices. I can't do any kind of intense grazing I can't do X, Y, and Z because I may not have the profit I need. Or the next generation is just having to use the same equipment for however many years, 20, 30 years, because we can't upgrade to be more efficient because we got left and saddled with a whole bunch of debt that we couldn't get out of. We got this farm, we couldn't operate it. And so how do we make sure we can do those things if we want to? I don't get into food discussions. I don't give two craps how somebody grows their food. That is not my concern. My concern is making sure that you can grow the food. It is a matter of how, if you want I've heard so many stories over the years. I mean, I've been dealing with farmers for 16 years. So it's a matter of, oh, hey, I'm going to give you money for seed, but then we're not giving you money for fertilizer and chemical. Well, what the hell did you give me money for seed for? If you're not going to give me money for fertilizer and chemical, right? Or, oh, I'm going to give you a loan, but then I'm going to garnish all of your wages, all of your wife's wages to make sure that loan is paid for. The amount of stress that causes has got to be stopped. We cannot continue that. We need to take back control. Because think about the fact that cattle prices are great right now, right? I can basically go sell and I can make a payment and the bank's not worried at all. Commodity prices are not that way. And so what happens when we're coming to the end of the year and we're experiencing it? You guys can tell me if it's happening in Canada, but we're experiencing it here, where I have talked to several bankers and bankruptcy is going to be starting to be filed on people because we're in our third bad year. And so now all of a sudden they can't hold grain and wait for commodity prices to come up because they have their line that has to get paid at the end of the year. There is no option. The bank is saying you have to sell. And right after I wrote my US book, this happened. When I wrote the US book, every farmer walked by me, laughed at me, and said, I'm already farming without the bank. Yeah, okay, because corn was $7 a bushel. But when corn went to $4 a bushel, all of a sudden, we need you, right? And so what happens when we can't hold that grain over? Well, if we're borrowing money from the policy, we can do whatever we want because we can pay it back when we want. We could hold that grain for 3 years if we needed to, or we can't pay our policy back because that's where our line of credit is. So now we're going to go to the bank and borrow a line of credit. Guess what? Your line of credit and your policy isn't hitting your credit score. There's nowhere that says you have a line of credit in the policy. So now you can actually leverage yourself a little bit with the bank because we have a line of credit in the policy that nobody cares about. Unless you tell them, oh my God, for the last 3 weeks, I have had clients calling, bankers calling and saying, oh, how is this loan secured? Is it with their death benefit? Let's just say I've not been the nicest to answer those. I will be straight up. If they're going to go online and say Mary Jo was a capital B, they're right. Because my patience is very thin with the bank because commodity prices have dropped. They're scared and they don't know how whole life works. I did a Google search for the banker and copied and pasted the AI answer and said, you could have done the same. They're going to have to learn because the more your book gets out there, the more my book gets out there, the more farming without the bank changes the farming sector and the ag sector. They're going to have to start paying attention. It's not that we hate them. It's not that we're trying to get rid of them, but they should be plan B, not plan A.
100% agreed. I mean,
mic drop.
Yeah. I mean, everything that you were just alluding to was just the fact that, hey, this is, you could just get along and survive if you want. I mean, it's hard to have that quality of how you want to farm when you feel like you're just surviving from day to day. And all the more reason to really start studying what it is that we offer in our books. I mean, our case studies inside the books really reflect on helping you to create that imagination, that vision of what it looks like. Like the first case study, it is just like, hey, let's just take your operating expenses, for example. It answers the biggest question. How can I build my bank and deal with an existing debt that I have, right? The first case study outlines this perfectly. And so is it worth it for me to attempt to audibly talk about it? I think it's both a visual, and potentially an audio kind of experience to really pick up all the nuances of it. But that's just me, right? So this does take time, and it has to start with you, right? It does. It may take, depending on how much you're able to do this, it could take, 3 years. Well, Lacy, we had a client, it took them about 4 years before they were able to replace their operating expenses, which is really great. But it just really depends. But we know how time slips away pretty fast, right? 6 years, 7 years. But if you start right now, the difference it could make for you to enhance.
It could take your lifetime.
Yeah.
It could take a generation. Who gives a crap? Just get started.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't start it, if you never start the policy to pass on the generational wealth, who should have done it? You want to sit here and say, Grandpa should have did that. Mom and Dad should have did that. Okay, how about we stop saying they should have and start saying, I will.
Mm-hmm.
I will start that. I will read the book. Is it going to be exactly like the book? No. I tell people that all the time. I'm like, oh, the book is great. I have all these strategies in there, right? And I have all these scenarios and case studies. Is that going to happen? Not a chance in heck. Not at all, because life happens and something's going to come up. Land's going to come available. Someone's going to suddenly die. Whatever. Like, something's going to happen, but having control, because what you're talking about, Winnie, is control.
Mm-hmm.
If we can move some of that operating note, if we can move a cattle note, if we can move any kind of a note into the policy, we now have control of those payback terms. And that control is what's going to help us save the farm, or it's going to help us lose the farm.
Right. And I think it's so for our Canadian listeners, I know what what you're talking about when you say note. So in the US, bank payment or a mortgage, it's your note. You got a car note, a land note. Here, it's your payment. Your payment comes up. Yeah. So when you're referencing note, that's here. When your annual payments come up, a lot of times they're in December here. But it is about having control over those, and in the market that we're in right now. Where we're seeing record high cattle prices all across the board, really. Even like this week from last week, we've seen a dip. And so our operation focuses mainly on, we run yearlings, so feeder cattle. And it's a little bit of a dip right now. But then what we have to think about now is like, how much is it going to cost us to buy those calves back? Because sometimes we're buying hundreds of calves in the fall when producers are weaning. So now we're like, we might have to pivot, and we're prepared to pivot. But are you?
But let's just say, Lacy, that you did buy them back. Okay, you borrowed from your life insurance policy and you bought those calves back. Mm-hmm. And prices continue to fall. So what happens when you sell them and you can't make your full loan repayment to the bank or to the policy?
Nothing.
You could go to the bank and you could borrow money to buy the next set that you might make a little bit of a gain on that could help pay back that loan. But nothing's going to happen if you can't pay them back. Mm-hmm. But here's the thing. It doesn't matter if prices, and this is in the farming world that we really talk more about this than I do any other business owner I have as a client, is in the farming sector, we can say, well, times are so good, we don't need it. And times are so bad, we can't afford it. Nelson started at the worst possible time with a massive amount of debt. So your excuse is not valid. 100% not valid. I'm not allowing you to get by with that. It's the good times today. So now it's really, really good. And I just got off the phone with a client that times are great, working in the oil field, all this money's coming in. I'm like, where is it?
Mm-hmm.
Where is the money? Because if these times are so good right now, what are we using it for? Where is this cash going? So now what's going to happen is they're going to sell cattle. They're going to have a lot of income. They're not going to want to pay taxes. So they're going to buy stuff to avoid taxes. We should be running that through the policy first. And then you borrow against the policy to pay your taxes or to buy the thing to avoid taxes.
Right.
You go to the bank to do that. It should be going through the policy first. You should be building that banking system today while prices are good. Because if prices stay high, which they're saying like 2 years, right?
Right.
I thought this shit was going to fall like a year ago. So they're saying like another 2 years probably because we have such a shortage. So if that truly happens, then you've got some time to be building that. And then by the time that happens, are we at a cash flowing status of the policy where our break even is closer? All of that stuff happens. And read the book. Go get the Farming Without the Bank book. Like if you're listening to this podcast and you haven't gone to Ranch Your Way to get the book, what are you waiting for? Like Christmas? I mean, a sale? Like what is the point of waiting? Because if you're selling and shipping calves now, you need the policy now. So when that money hits your account, you can run it through because you're going to go spend it. Takes time to go through underwriting, takes time to meet with Lacy and Winnie. You're going to spend it. And then you're going to be like, shoot, I wish I had called you sooner because now I don't have the money for the premium.
Yeah, one of the biggest points of feedback we always get once a person actually decides to like listen to it all the way through or read through the entire book, it's like, why don't more people know about this? Or how come I didn't know about this sooner? It's like, we've been trying to say, come on.
Well, we're not as loud as Mary Jo, but we're trying.
Well, another thing that comes up too is, people buy the book, they're interested, they ready, and then they ask their friend about it. And their friend's like, I don't know. But it's like, if we aren't the change, who's going to be the change? Mm-hmm. Like, and I remember
why are you asking your friend who hasn't read the book? I mean, think about it.
Why are you asking your friend who's in worse financial shape or the same as you are or experience the same problems, but they don't have a solution? And I remember early on in our client meetings with Winnie, her telling us, just use caution if you're talking to your friends or your loved ones, because chances are they haven't heard of this. And you're probably going to get some pushback. So we didn't tell anybody. Like, we didn't breathe a word of it until we had everything in place and we kind of knew our policies and then we started trickling it. And it's trickled down. But we knew and we were very confident in our decision.
That's the key thing right there.
We were very confident. So we weren't going to let anybody sway our decision. So we kept it between the two of us. And I mean, obviously, look at me now. I'm sharing it. And I can't imagine a day not sharing it because it's too good. Like, people have to know about this. And even this morning, I heard a video, a little piece of information about, this has to do with the real estate market. But here in Canada, there's lots of things changing here. And one of the things was there could be some pushback coming as far as qualifying for mortgages. If you want a second property, you're only going to be able to use your earned income one time in order to qualify. And then I started thinking, well, why are we giving the bank control?
Yeah.
Why don't we just build our own banking system and go buy that second property we want?
You know what's even crazier is that there's also start of banks not even renewing mortgages.
Mm-hmm. It's happening in the States, filing bankruptcy on mortgages.
Yeah. So,
but you don't have control. You want that HELOC from your house? Well, you're not getting it. You want the equity out of your land because you got some farm ground and you want the equity out of that to go buy some more farm ground. With today's commodity prices, probably not a big deal. with ranch prices, maybe they'll be okay until commodity prices fall, right? But we're even seeing, this is what I think's happened. Correct me if I'm wrong. But people bought houses at 2 and 3%. So the last house we sold went for like $20,000 over asking. Okay. That is insane. So people were buying based on a payment, based on grocery prices, based on gas prices, based on all these things. Well, guess what? Their mortgage stayed the same, but grocery prices have gone up.
Right.
Gas has gone up. Electricity has gone up to the point where these people cannot afford their house payment because their income is not rising at the same rate. So they overbought. They had no margin left for anything else, thinking it was just going to stay. And so now we're filing bankruptcy on 2 and 3% mortgages. Like, can I come in and rescue you? Because I got money in a policy that I'll just take that over at 2 and 3%. Hopefully we never see those rates again. No, don't kill me for saying that. That's a great rate for a buyer, but it's not a great rate for inflation and the economy. And so if you guys are seeing that same thing, the banks are saying, whoa,
they're walling people up.
And we don't want to give you a HELOC around that. We would rather make you refinance it at 6 or 7 than give you a HELOC. So if we tell you, no, we're not going to give you the line of credit against your house, then you're forced to refi at a higher interest rate so they can make more money.
And hopefully you are in the position to qualify, and I mean, this brings me to like another interesting thought that I had while you were just sharing there, Mary Jo, is that our whole financial environment from the start forces us to think very short range. Like let's just get a 2 or 3% mortgage, which helps us to make sure that fits into our monthly budget for that month, right? But not really think long range about what are all the other circumstances that could impact me being able to afford this after. So I think part of this is our overall ability of being able to ask better questions to ourselves before taking on a financial obligation. It really comes back down to the ability to manage our cash flow well, and how much time do we actually spend managing our finances. And this is what I love so much about the infinite banking concept, is that for all intents and purposes, this is a really great cash flow management system. It really, like if one was to really adopt this and choose this as the way to manage their cash flow for the rest of their life, what you can accomplish in your ability to decide other things becomes very easy, because you already know you have a system in place and a mindset to operate how you're going to finance things for forever, instead of trying to think about, am I going to go to the bank this time, or am I going to go here this time, right? Like you're switching from one style of thinking to another style of thinking, right?
But I think that I also think that not everybody's a good banker. And not everybody's meant to be a banker.
True.
And so you can't manage because you don't think ahead. You probably shouldn't have a policy. Okay. So if you're going to adapt this, you're going to have to put the time and energy in to run amortization schedules, to manage that money, to understand where it's going, and to be smarter about it. The one thing that I have found, and I'm sure you guys have seen this as well, that once somebody reads the book, it motivates them to get there. Because they can actually see the difference it's going to make versus just, Dave Ramsey's getting me back into being debt free, but it motivates them to want to make the change. I see it all the time. I had a young guy last week that was like, oh, Mary Jo, I read your book and now I don't go drink anymore. I don't hang out with any of my friends. I have I lied. He said he first bought some land. That motivated him to quit drinking, go out with friends. He's like, my friends are wondering what's wrong with me. He goes, now I'm reading all these books and I came across your book. And he goes, I am now motivated to make those changes so that I can have some land and I can start farming and I can start doing these things. So sometimes some of these things do cause to have people more motivated
and inspired
than they would have been without. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, because I think sometimes, if you're somebody young, or maybe you're somebody who is struggling financially, it's hard to imagine what is possible for yourself, or imagine yourself out of those situations. Or maybe it's a young person, like this client wanted to get into farming. It's hard for him to imagine like being where the neighbor is, or whatever it might be. But if you don't ever start, well, no, you're not going to be there. And then when you start to see things happen, like even in my own life and our own policies, if I look back where we came from 10 years ago, we sold our acreage and we bought cattle and we had this dream. If I look back and think like, if we hadn't ever made that change and been willing to like do that scary thing, well, we'd still be sitting there wishing that we were ranching.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Wish your life away, Lacy.
Wish it away. And I mean, I'm not getting any younger.
I am. No,
like,
okay,
yeah.
there's only a few wrinkles.
Look, let's talk about wrinkles. So, and
what are wrinkles?
Then, like, Asians don't get wrinkles.
Let's not be friends with them, Lacy.
That's my theory.
Next time we're with Winnie together, we will walk in front of her.
I know,
which is
right?
hard anyway, because she's so little. Like her legs aren't that long.
With our wrinkles.
Maybe she could get us some good skincare.
Right. Well, and I think about, like you said earlier, Mary Jo, like, oh, my granddad should have done that, whatever. Meemaw should have done that. But if we don't do it, then our kids darn sure aren't going to be more prone to do it. And because of what we have done, Reed and I, with our family, when our son turned 16, well, you know what? The life company was closed on his birthday, and that's why his application didn't get submitted. And he's like, when he turned 16, he could own his own policy, and he works and he has his money. As soon as we could nail him down in his busy hockey schedule, he submitted his app, and now he sees the big picture of what this could do for him. And then our second son's coming up. He's a year until he's 16, and he's got his money waiting because he can't wait to start it.
Here's another strategy that I've been using is when they are 16, 17, and they've got some money coming in, then why not have them, instead of buying that policy on themselves right away, why not have them buy that policy on you or Reed? And the generational wealth is just going to be that much bigger because the discounted dollar is massive.
So that is the next idea. Yes. Mm-hmm. And actually Reed said that. He's like, oh man, you know what? Zane bought that policy, but he probably should have bought that policy on me. Mm-hmm. And so that is something, yes.
And so you kind of have to, if the insurance company allows it, right? Mm-hmm. Like at 16, we can't own policies down here. You have to be 18. But at 16, if there's a lot of money, can mom and dad just use that money to pay for a policy on themselves and then turn that policy over to the kid when they feel it's necessary? Absolutely. But going to the kid, because there's going to be people watching this saying, oh, it's going to be so much better on my kids. They're younger. No, it's not. Generational wealth starts with who's going to die first. Okay?
Yeah, that's right.
70, maybe. I don't know what that's like up there. Down here, it's questionable. But 55, 60, 65, you're going to probably die first. Not guaranteed. But statistically, you should pass first. And that is what we need. I mean, think about it. If we would be buying life insurance, if every single heir had life insurance to pass on to the next generation, we would not be losing family operations. We would not be losing people to town. We have created our own monster and we feel like everyone else is stealing it. when in fact, we are not managing our estate plan correctly. It can be solved. It's just us that has to do it, and we have to stop waiting for somebody else to do it.
Yeah. And I think we have to
Amen.
we have to stop being afraid of those conversations too.
Yeah.
Like,
You're not getting out alive. Like, let's not talk about it because you think you're going to die. Well, sorry to tell you, you're dying regardless if you talk about it or not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And something's happening to the family operation no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so it's better if it's just talked about.
Yeah. And I mean, one of the first ranchers that I've ever talked to, and it's a little bit heartbreaking to know that, they're sitting and they want to do something, and they want to do something for their future generations, but their parents haven't passed away yet, but they're not willing to talk about it. So they're kind of like sitting ducks, waiting to see what might happen when their parents die. So they have no idea if they're going to actually have a windfall or have like a whole host of issues. They don't know. Right. And yeah, so I guess a plea to those who
that's our job then.
Mm-hmm.
That is then our job to do plan B. That's the whole point of why they come see us, is because mom and dad aren't going to have that conversation. Well, how can we then help them create plan B of, hey, do we buy a policy on mom and dad? Should you just be buying your own ground? I had that conversation today. A client that said, Mary Jo, I don't know what we do next because there's ground on each side of us that's for sale. And mom and dad are helping the misfits, but they're not helping us who's keeping it all together. And I'm like, oh, okay. I did not know that was happening. And so if that's the case, then you need to buy that land. You need to buy whatever's on the side of you. Mom and dad are not allowed to help. You guys need to sit down with that landowner and see, can they sell it to you and owner finance you? Can they sell it to you with pieces so you have a first right of refusal before the next piece gets sold?
Right.
Can you go to the other neighbor and make some kind of a deal? And then you need to put a house on that because the house you're living in is being controlled by mom and dad because they say it's their house, right? So you can't even paint the dang walls because mommy says that's my house and I don't want that color, even though she ain't living in it. And so if there's that much control, then maybe the plan is just for us to figure out how you can get that purchased. And maybe it's not a life insurance policy at that moment. I don't know, but it's a strategy to help you move forward that it seems like nobody else in this industry is talking about. They're just, it's the bank or nothing, right? Like me talking about owner financing is mind blowing to people. And I get so much hate online. It's insane. Insane. Negative Nellies out there. Well, you can be all negative you want, but you're not getting anywhere in life. So move along or stay where you're at, because the other people that are showing people, hey, Mr. Neighbor, if you own or finance me, you could double your money and I'll help pay your capital gains.
Right.
Game changer. Now we helped them move on because mom and dad are not talking. Right? But mom and dad not talking means we need to care about ourselves, and we better plan for ourselves because we don't know. We have to plan for the worst in that scenario.
And ultimately, we don't have any control over what someone else will or won't do anyways, right?
Right.
And just like how we can't really help if at first, the first line of assumption when they start learning about the infinite banking concept is, how much is this going to cost me? How much is this going to cost me? What is this going to like? Yeah. How much do I need? Like, I don't know if I can do another expense, right? That whole line of thinking.
Is it an expense? Your feed's an expense, your fertilizer an expense, your chemicals an expense, your vet bill is an expense. What do? You build it into your basis line. You're saying, hey, I need to sell cattle for X amount because I have all these expenses. Your life insurance policy should be an expense to do business, and it should be built into your bottom line of what you need to sell cattle and grain for. Because death, and this is just something I've recently started to talk about, death benefit and life insurance is not a luxury. It is a necessity. And so you should be building it in so you can start building your own system. Mm-hmm. It's not something where we're like, oh, well, if we have a little bit of extra money when we sell calves, we're going to stick that money in. No.
Yeah.
It is a built-in operating expense to do business. And so how much do you want it to be? Right? Like you can make all the excuses in the world, or you can say, how can I get that started? And do you have to start with $1 million? No. You can start small. It doesn't matter. It's just a matter of getting started. And the first step is to read the darn book, because then you probably wouldn't ask all those silly questions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And I think it's, when you talk about it's a necessity, not a luxury. It's a necessity in another sense too, because if the price tag, the market price on the operation is beyond what can be paid by whoever's running it or the child who comes back, well, then what? Ultimately, it's going to be sold to an outsider, and it's probably going to be a big corporation, or it's probably going to be split up. And is that what you want? Most people would say, no, that's not what they want, for what they built, because a lot of it is like the passion for keeping the operation in the family and keeping it going. But if we don't plan ahead and we don't have these hard conversations, ultimately it's not going to withstand very many generations before it's forced to be sold.
Oh, and I like to tell people, why do you work so hard? Why do you get up every single day to work so hard to keep it if you're not going to protect it? What's the point? Like, you're 70 years old, you're outside calving cows out when it's 60 below. And I don't know what that is Celsius, my friends, but it's cold.
Still cold.
Okay. So
40 below is the same on both thermometers.
Okay, so 40 below. So you're outside calving cows at 40 below, and you work to save it, and you go through the stress of paying the banks, and all this stress, 50, 60, 70 years of stress, and you're too scared to go to an attorney and have an estate plan done so that it can be saved. You're too worried about hurting somebody's feelers to have the conversation. But yet you're stressed about saving it. You're not saving anything. They're going to fight. They're going to divide it. The land's going to be sold to pay for probate, or however that works in Canada, and it's gone. So why not just sell it and enjoy the last few years of your life without the stress? Because you're saving it for somebody that's not going to protect. You're working hard to save it for a family that's going to fight over it, and it's going to get split anyway.
Yeah.
Do it yourself.
100%. Yeah.
And there's a difference between fair, equal, and deserving. Okay. I've added one. So everybody talks about fair and equal,
That's
fair
good.
and equal. I am talking about deserving. If said child does not come home for Christmas or Thanksgiving and doesn't do squat, do they deserve anything? I am the off the farm child. I deserve nothing, because guess who's there every single time? There's something medical. The power went out. Something crazy happened. It's not me. I am an hour and a half away. Nobody calls me for anything. Nobody calls the other child because he is a flight away. Okay. So the one that's there is the one that lives in the yard.
Yeah. Yeah.
That
I say the same thing.
Is the one that gets to take care of everybody over there and put up with them all day, every day.
I say the same thing in regards to my sisters and my parents, because guess what? I mean, I'm 2,000 miles away.
You're in another country.
I'm in another country. My sisters are the one that are there doing it. I don't want anything. Like, I don't deserve it. I'm not there. I mean, maybe I'm going to fly down twice a year, but so I'm on the same page with. Yeah, to have fun. I'm on the same page that way.
If you go down to help, it's for a couple of days, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not there helping for any great amount of time that I should deserve anything.
Yeah.
And even with our own kids, I'm very much am in a mentality of, do you deserve it? And some days you do, and some days you don't. Right? It just depends when I die. What's going to happen? So it really is a matter of, we have to look at these, just because we were born on a farm, we think that we have to share that with all the kids. But yet when we own a business, we don't feel like all the kids deserve a share of that business. It's the kid that helped us continue the business on. We're like, oh yeah, naturally they're just going to take over. But that's not what happens in agriculture. In agriculture, we think everybody deserves a piece because their feet landed there the first day they were born.
Right.
I frankly don't care. What happened after 18? Who's been there? How have we been treated? All of those things. And let's not mistreat the one that is there helping the most. That is another thing that drives me crazy, is we are going to feel more remorse and to help the ones that aren't there, that aren't making a living for themselves, that need all this extra help. But yet the one that's there is the one that's helping the farm grow. They're probably teaching you how to drive those tractors. They're most likely deciding on what kind of farm practices are going to be implemented. All of those things make the farm better, and they're being successful. They're that you think of last. You're like, they'll take care of themselves. No, those are the kids we should be taking care of first. And the ones that can't take care of themselves should learn how to take care of themselves. And the more money we give them, the more enabling we are. Like, it's so, our thought process around our children is so backwards. And it's something we've recently had to go through as a family as well. And I'm like, whoa. I don't know why one day it just hit me. And I'm like, we are doing this all wrong. Like, no, there's going to be some tough love handed down. And that's how it's going to go. I am sorry, but there is no more enabling going on. And does it suck? Yeah, absolutely it does. But we can't, the kid that always, they're doing so good. They're taking care of themselves. Look at that kid. Yeah. So why not give them kudos outside of praise? Why not let them have that farm, or figure out a way to do it so that they're not having to take over in a massive amount of debt and sell something off.
Right. Like
and tear that farm apart.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, the amount of solutions, like the amount of problems that the agricultural community faces, I don't know. We are all three of us are super biased, but the infinite banking concepts really it's so comprehensive that it is a solution for a wide array of issues that the agricultural community truly has, right? And I mean, as much as the majority of people that come and read the book are having those problems, I think that there's also a small percentage of ranchers and farmers who are now like lucky enough to have made it into the 5th, 6th, or 7th generation, and are doing relatively well, right? And they may come and say to us like, okay, well, this is really great, but in actuality, like we just have our expenses, but we don't actually have like a land mortgage anymore. Like most of our consumer debt is gone. So like, I really don't see how this is going to be very helpful for me. So I'm not sure if you've come across that, but you know, what have you shared with those that feel like, oh, I have no consumer debt, so I don't need it.
So did you grow your operation? Because if you grew it, what happens if you want to continue to grow it? Because typically people like that don't stay the same size, right? They're growing their operation. So if you want to continue to grow the operation, that would be a heck of a lot easier to not have to go through the banking system, and you can leave generational wealth so the next generation can buy land, they can upgrade equipment, they can buy more cattle. Whatever that is, it gives them the opportunity to be the jerks in the neighborhood that are buying everything up. Right? And so do we want to just stay the same, or do we want to give them the opportunity? And it's and you know, some people will say, well, I don't need to leave the kids rich.
That's a good one. Yeah.
If you're worried about leaving your kids rich, spoiled little brats, then you did a problem raising them. Right? You raised them. So if my child is entitled, that comes back at me. What did I do wrong to create her to be entitled? Mm-hmm. So that's some self-reflection, in my opinion, right? I may have just pissed everybody off, but there's some self-reflection there of, okay, if I leave this to them and they're entitled, then, or if I leave this to them, here's another one that I've heard. Oh, if you leave those kids money, they're just gonna, you know what, down their leg. It's just all gonna be gone.
Yeah, they're just gonna piss it away.
Because
they're just gonna piss it away.
You did not teach them money management? If that's the case, then should you be leaving them any money at all? Or should it go to a nonprofit? Or should it go into a trust that is extremely controlled from the grave? I am a controller from the grave kind of girl. And so ours will be controlled. Mm-hmm. Like, is it bad to put money through the system? Because you don't know what expenses are going to be in the future. You might keep everything the same, but look at what's happened to input costs. And I'm assuming your input costs in Canada are very much like the States. Yeah. They are astronomical. Yeah. And so when input costs go up, that drives farmers back to the bank. Mm-hmm. Well, what happens if we did buy a policy today based on the what ifs later? What if inputs go up and now we can still keep them out of the banking system? Mm-hmm. Right? Not wanting to do it based on today is a little bit of a selfish, short-sighted solution. And Nelson taught us to think like a forester. So we have to think, we should always be thinking 2 to 3 generations away.
Mm-hmm. And I would say too, like, I mean, it is more ideal that, you know, we love our children, but I also know that there's a lot of folks out there who may be estranged from their own children. And so even if you might be estranged from your child, but you run an operation anyways, it's still worth it to have a structure in place like the dividend paying whole life insurance contract, because you are making better use of your dollar and you still get to experience more control while you are living, because it's your experience with your finances, right? I mean, if at the end of the day, you don't like your kids, you don't want to leave money behind for your kids, then you get to leave it behind to whoever you want. You could leave it behind to your church, your community, your, you know, wherever you live nearby. You could leave it to your local area.
Any of us 3 are open.
Yeah, sure.
You know?
Yeah. Like, over here.
Yeah. Well, I mean, everybody's happy to have a little inheritance.
Yeah. Well, and you know, when you go back and we talk about the way we raise our kids, okay, we have 2 boys, and I know this isn't mainstream, and I actually don't care. They play hockey. They play competitive hockey. Guess who pays their hockey fees?
They do.
They do.
Good.
They do. And they buy their equipment. One, not because we make them. They are independent and they love making their own money. They love having the choice because they know that if they take mom in with her wallet for the stick, I'm probably not buying the latest and greatest stick. But if they have their own money, if they want to spend $400 on a stick that's going to get broken possibly in, you know, the first game, well, go ahead. But you know what they do? They don't.
Right.
They find maybe last year's model. They appreciate money because, one, they're working to earn it, but they're also using their money to pay for the things that they want to pay for. We didn't buy Zane his first car. He bought it.
Yeah, but also, Lacy, you and Reed also openly talk about money, right?
Yeah,
so help them have perspective on how the impact, like what the impact is to the family too, right? And I'm sorry, I just can't help this. This has been a lingering thought. I just thought about this in my head and I was like, oh, this could solve both of our, like the US and the Canadian debt, is that if all the politicians got life policies on themselves and then the death benefit goes back to the Canadian government or the US government, hey, then they're paying back for all the money they wasted while they were in power. That could, oh my God, that is a solution.
The government could own a policy on them, like the banks own policies on their shareholders, their executives.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
They'd waste it. That's a great thought, Winnie, but they're so good at wasting it that it would be completely wasted.
Yeah.
So I'm going to push for it now.
I have a question. Okay, so we've talked about a lot of different things, but like, why do we have farming without the bank in Canada? Like, here we are, we're sitting with you, Mary Jo, you're the original author, but we have this opportunity right here in our hands. Read the book. The audio book is going to be out soon. But Mary Jo, do you have a story of any of your clients that they've had just a significant transformation after implementing IBC?
Yeah, I actually have a number of them. And it's really the people that tell me the most about their transformations, because let's be honest, farmers don't talk to people. Like, you guys don't even like people, so nobody calls me and is like, Mary Jo, guess what? But the biggest ones are the ones that were getting heckled from the bank, right? The ones where the bank is just non-stop hammering them with questions. And the second that they can get away from the bank, the second that they can take that control, that is such a huge relief.
Right.
To just, like, you can see it in their face. You can see it in just the stress levels.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we as farmers, they say, and I don't know the statistics to be true because I've seen differing statistics, but they will say that farmers have a higher suicide rate than anyone else.
Mm-hmm.
And when I look at the suicides and what's causing suicides, a lot of that, if you follow the chain, it's coming back to money.
Oh, I say that all the time.
And so if we can, when you get a client that gets away from the stress of the bank and that controls their own, they can control that themselves, the stress goes away. The risk of suicide goes down. The thing that we have to help them with is understanding that the insurance company does not care, because a lot of those clients are still stressed by the policy loan.
Yes. Okay. Speak to that.
And so who cares? Like, nobody cares. It's okay to have debt in your policy because your death benefit is collateral.
Right.
It's okay to have policy debt because as long as you're paying the interest only, nobody's coming after you. There's no credit score. It is like, I call it financial PTSD. When you go to the bank and they're constantly, what's your balance sheet? What did you buy? What are your assets? What's your net worth, right? Nobody cares on this side. It takes time to reverse that brain, the PTSD part of that, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like somebody that's been abused for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And with abuse becomes this guilt. And you don't have to feel guilty that you don't pay the policy back, because your death benefit will do that. Mm-hmm. But we have to basically turn into counselors and get into that situation, because it's hard for people. I have had to do that, where people are like, oh my God, they call and they're just freaked out about their policy loan. And they're like, I'm not gonna be able to pay that. And I'm like, good. Oh my gosh, that's great. That's fine. Mm-hmm. Just make sure the bank's paid for. And they're like, what? I'm like, remember, that's why you did this, for the control. Mm-hmm. So it's totally okay that you can't pay this. Nobody's watching you. In fact, I'm not watching you. my team, I don't know how you guys do it, but I literally do not care if somebody has a policy. I'm not tracking them. I'm not looking them up. It's not my business. I got better things to do. And it's all good because you're going to die. So they're going to get their money. It's all good. They know that. They're not worried. They're not over there fretting about if you're going to pay your loan back or not. So we have to remember the stress level of what this will do. And could it truly help the generational wealth piece and reduce the suicide rate amongst our farmers? Those are the biggest, most impactful cases and clients that I have, because it's just fun to watch them enjoy farming and ranching again instead of it being this dreaded lifestyle.
Yeah. I would say we have a couple who are like that. They've worked hard, and in 4 years they've replaced their operating line. But the stress is off of their faces from the first time we met with them to now. And it's just been incredible to see, because, before it's just like, we're paying, I think it was like $90,000 to the bank in interest every year. And just to see them do that, I always say, like, if I see one client who shares, a win, like, I'm winning. If I help one client, like, do something really incredible with their policy, I feel like I'm winning in what I'm supposed to be doing.
Well, being able to see any of our clients to success is a part of what really sets all of us apart. Mary Jo, first, your commitment level to have first written the book, to have that sense of leadership and courageousness to speak the way you want to speak and just straight up tell people how it is. That's one thing. But then being able to like, what we do isn't exactly like a cakewalk either. I mean, how many times you said, remember? Yep, remember. Because you know what? There is so much amnesia that happens because of that PTSD, that conditioning that we have. This is why we say going to your friends or going to a regular insurance broker isn't going to be the most helpful thing for you, because you need to come to a place where you have committed people who really do understand how this is really a mindset. It's a way of being, to coach you, to walk you off the ledge.
That's why Nelson said, surround yourself with people that do infinite banking.
Yes.
So that you remember why you're doing it. Right? Nelson says it in the book.
Yeah.
Yep. And so, like, if those clients weren't regularly meeting with Lacy or I to sort of get recalibrated every single time to remind, it's like, we're here as your symbol, your pillar, your lighthouse, to help you remember what you're doing this for, especially when you forget.
Yeah. So that reminds, I had a conversation with a client maybe close to a month ago, and he's sitting on some capital for a while before he needs it. And he actually asked me, like, he was like, what should I do with it or whatever? And my reply to him was, I think you already know what you should do with it. Like, and he said, you're right, I do. I should run it through my policy. But that's all he needed to hear. He just needed to hear that. Cause he typed me out a big long email like, I'm like, I think you already know, Mr. Farmer.
They just need, but here's the thing, like, everybody needs it, right? Sometimes we just need that reassurance. Heck, I'll go to colleagues and be like, I don't know if I have enough policies. And so can you just run through my numbers with me and tell me what I'm doing wrong? Because the thing that we forget sometimes is that we are emotionally attached to our money. So when I start policies and I use my money for policies, it's very different than when I'm telling you what to do, because I am not emotionally attached. And so I can think more clear about your money sometimes than even my own. So it is good to go to those outside sources and say, okay, what am I not thinking about? Right? Because I've been doing this for 16 years. Let me tell you, some things I learned 3 years ago that I knew 16 years ago, but it really didn't sink in till 3 years ago. So we really have to that's why we are there to not just write the policy, but to continue to service that client. You could go find an agent that wants to just write a policy and leave. I mean, they're everywhere. They like commission. So you could go, but you guys do your business very much like I do mine. I don't charge people to talk to me after they have a policy. I got paid commission to do that.
Right.
And so I am here for you as much as you want me to be. It's up to you to make that connection to me. We try to make it with you, but you're in the tractor. And so you don't want to talk to me, but I'm here. I will talk to you. You guys are the same way. Make sure that if you have the question, it's worse to not have the answer than to email or call or something and get the answer. But it's funny because they'll call, and I'm sure you guys see this too. I just happened today. I had a meeting and she's like, well, I think we want to start a new policy. I'm like, oh, okay. She's like, but some things have changed. It was an hour. It was supposed to be an hour phone call. It was an hour and a half because I had a million other questions. What do you mean there's land for sale? Where's the money going? Oh, you bought a no-till drill. Okay. Oh, you got to land on cattle. All right. Well, it's not just as simple of should I, yes or no, buy another policy? It is where's the money coming from to pay that policy? Oh, we have some land contracts. We're going to be inheriting some land. Do we inherit the cattle? We're going to take over some operating expenses and have some of that stuff we didn't have before. And she was like, oh, yeah. I said, yeah, there was a lot to unpack in that hour and a half. But some agents would just say, yeah, you need a new policy. Sure. No, I got a lot of questions.
Yeah. Because I think it's what's really unique about the world of infinite banking advisors, if you want to call it that, is it's actually quite small, but every year there's the think tank and everybody is working to do the same thing for the client, right? It's not transactional, it's a process. And so I think that is a huge way that we are different.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I think one of the things also to mention here is that I know it may seem like after everything that we've shared today, it's honestly still the tip of the iceberg in terms of how it can truly impact your life. And so we always say, yes, read the book. And reading the book also allows you to just become a lot more informed about, hey, does this really resonate with me? Can I see myself doing this? And if the answer is no, then it's no. Then you don't have to listen to us. We don't want to get into a position where we're having to convince anybody that this is the right thing to do. The information in the book ought to be what speaks for itself. And so, not one of us are really interested in walking anyone through on a one-to-one level what the book can do. And the audiobook. Now we have an audiobook. It's almost done. I recorded all this weekend. Mm-hmm. So
just don't get the audiobook by itself. Mm-hmm. Get it you're not selling it by itself though.
No.
Right?
No.
Yeah, good. Because you should read the book. But I say to people all the time, I'm not here to sell you anything. If you think I'm selling you something, then we are not in the right meeting together. You need to leave.
Yeah.
But I am here to teach you something. I am here to help you as a coach, if you want to look at it that way. It's not that I know everything about everything, but we're here to teach the infinite banking concepts. We're not here to sell something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think for me, so, my journey, I wouldn't call myself a businesswoman until I started working with Winnie. But before that, I was a stay-at-home mom and I dabbled in some network marketing and, just to kind of do my own thing, I guess, while I was home with raising kids. But back then it was I was very much a salesman or saleswoman.
Mm-hmm.
But with this, I've never felt that way, because I always knew, like, I remember always saying, like, there's got to be more to my purpose here in Canada. I mean, obviously it was to, be with Reed and have our family, whatever. But I always knew there was something else. And so whatever, build our family. And I truly do feel that I do have a purpose here, like in Canada, more so than my family. And this is it.
Yeah.
Like I always knew there was like a Canadian piece to it.
I had a guy tell me one time, he's a local guy, and my dad had bought something from him years after I had originally talked to him about the infinite banking concept. And he goes, "Oh, I remember talking to you. You came in trying to sell me some life insurance." And I said, "No, I actually came in trying to teach you something, but you're so ignorant you didn't want to learn. So that's okay." I was just like not having any of it. I was so mad. Yes, I sell life insurance. At the end of the day, we all sell life insurance.
Yes.
Because you want it, because we know how to structure it. But we are teaching you how to then use it. And so do you go to the plumbing store and say, "Hey, don't sell me any of my plumbing needs, but could you teach me how to use them all?" Right? They're going to sell you what you need so you can go do the plumbing.
Yeah.
I like that.
It's just,
I like that.
It's like they think because it's life insurance, it has this negative connotation, which is again, why when you go to Uncle Joe and Aunt Susie and mom and dad, and they say, "Oh, that's bad," you have to understand that you read the book, you've listened to the podcast, you've done your due diligence, you're the expert, and you're asking somebody for advice that's never actually done anything. They're just repeating some nonsense that they heard.
Well, and you know what? The bankers do the same thing. I had a conversation with someone a few weeks ago, and their banker's like, "With these cattle prices, how much more money do you need?" None. Because, I mean, why was he asking that? Well, because the bank's going to make more money if they give you more money. So it's not just us that are selling something.
Yeah. So we got to start bringing this to a close just to honor our time. And I mean, obviously IBC is great for good times and bad times. And, whether you're listening to Mary Jo's podcast on Farm Without the Bank, or you're listening to the Ranch Your Way show, Mary Jo, we have you to thank for first writing the book, Farming Without the Bank. And without that, I couldn't have added the piece for the Canadians here. And Lacy, I'm just, once again, I couldn't be more thrilled to be on this journey with you to help our fellow Canadian ranchers and farmers. And so with that with that being said, Lacy, why don't you let us know what is the next step?
Okay, first of all, I'm very grateful to be here with both of you ladies too. I feel very honored to share IBC and Farming Without the Bank alongside of both of you. So to our listeners, you know what the next step is. We've told you, it's getting the book. And so ranchyourway.com, you can find your book there.
And audio.
Click that order now. Yeah, we now have the audio version. So you're actually going to get both. We're going to sell it in a bundle because I know that somebody's going to be in the tractor and somebody's going to want to look at the book. So you're going to get both of them. So ranchyourway.com. You can also find our podcast on Spotify, Apple, iHeartRadio, and you can watch us on YouTube.
Yay. And are we doing a webinar?
We are doing 2 webinars coming up in October and November. So those are going to be advertised very soon here. I don't have the dates.
And be on the lookout for those.
Yeah,
because I have one of those on my calendar.
Yes, and that's specifically for our clients, isn't it? Yeah. So.
Oh, well, then you should be a client the next couple months.
That's right.
So not just open to any old willy-nilly Just
totally
you got to
didn't
become
have
our.
that planned,
You got
but
to.
you probably should get on
Yeah,
it.
you got to become our Winnie Lacy in order to attend. It's exclusive invite only.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Join our club.
Do it. Do it today. Okay.
Okay. Bye now.
So glad you leaned in with us on the Winnie podcast. We truly hope you're feeling more informed and empowered to take another step towards optimizing your financial life. Right now, make sure you hit subscribe so you can keep growing and learning with us. Until next time, we wish you prosperity in every area of your life.